members, whether they be Democrats, Republicans, or Independents, to study the issues and candidates in the light of our Constitution and the threats to it, and then govern themselves accordingly. Among other things, the Society is for a balanced budget, for the Monroe Doctrine, for letting the states solve their own problems, for letting the states solve their own problems. It is against foreign aid to the communists. Against the Marxist graduated income tax. And against the federal government competing with tax-paying free enterprise. In a sentence, the John Birch Society believes in less centralized government, more personal responsibility, and a better world. I do not belong to the John Birch Society, but I have always defended this group, just as I do not belong to but have defended the American Farm Bureau, the DAR, the American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and any other patriotic group trying to alert Americans to the socialist communist threat. I have also defended J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. When my son Reed was invited to be a state coordinator for the John Birch Society, he asked me if he should accept it. I had read the Blue Book and other basic materials of the Society. I had met Mr. Welch and other leaders and members. I had read Mr. Welch's famous letter, which has since been published in book form entitled The Politician. I knew Reed would be enrolling in an unpopular cause. I also knew he would receive a certain amount of vilification if he took this job. Nevertheless, I told him to go ahead, if he thought this was a most effective way to defend the Constitution and fight the socialist communist menace. I would have given him equal encouragement if he had been considering the FBI or any of our national patriotic organizations dedicated to the fight against the godless conspiracy which threatens all we hold dear. When he joined, I expressed my opinion that I was convinced that the John Birch Society was the most effective non-church organization in our fight against creeping socialism and godless communism. I also stated that I admired Reed's courage and applauded his decision. Now, some people, I'm sure well-meaning, have told me this was not good strategy. But I disagree. I feel it is always good strategy to stand up for the right. To stand up for the right, even when it is unpopular. Perhaps I should say especially when it is unpopular. I had to make this same decision all over again when President David O. McKay received an invitation from former Congressman John Rousseau asking that I be authorized to give a patriotic speech at a testimonial dinner for Robert Welch. President McKay, after careful consideration, told me I should take the talk and that I had his permission and blessing. And so the invitation was accepted. This talk was given at the Hollywood Palladium, September 23rd, 1963. Nearly 2,000 heard my talk that night, and 4,000 Kiwanians heard a similar message the following day when I spoke at their annual convention. Both talks dealt with the preservation of the Constitution and the need to resist the communist threat. At the Welch testimonial dinner, I commended the John Birch Society and encouraged them to protect the principles of liberty throughout the land. Of course, as all of you know, This talk brought an immediate outcry from some liberal elements in Washington. These voices said that I, as a church official, had no business speaking at the Robert Welch dinner. They said it was making me controversial. Patrick Henry and the Founding Fathers were also controversial. True patriots have ever been. Perhaps they did not realize that I had filled this assignment with the full approval of President McKay. And perhaps they did not realize that President David O. McKay has not hesitated to speak out for freedom, even if some people have considered such patriotism as controversial. And neither will I hesitate. The fight to save the Constitution is not mere controversy, nor the fight against communism. In fact, it is a war with the devil, Christ versus Antichrist. It is a war with the devil, Christ versus Antichrist. And I am willing to fight it. It is a fight against the greatest evil in this world, a ruthless, powerful, godless conspiracy. J. Edgar Hoover has warned that the Cold War is a real war and that the threat is increasing. I agree. And unfortunately, we're losing the war.